Hi everybody, this is Chad the Gaming Dad here once again with another episode of What I've Been Playing. This is actually the second episode of What I've Been Playing. Last week, talked a lot about some old games, old PS1 games, mostly racing games. Also, a couple other things I've been playing, some VR and stuff. So, let's move it on into this week. Hope everybody had a good week, did good at work, school, whatever, and played a lot of games, had a lot of fun. But I wanted to say thanks. I got a lot of good response from that video last week. Seems like everybody is in the mood to play some old PS1 racing games. So, this week, I brought out even more PS1 racing games. Ones that are a little bit more mainstream, but stuff that people were talking about down in the comments and everything. So, we'll take a look at those in just a minute. But first, I wanted to bring out something different from last week. So, this week was all about playing indie games on the Switch. So first up, I just wanted to mention Super Meat Boy came out on this Nintendo Switch not very long ago, like I think about a week ago.
Super Meat Boy!
Been playing some Super Meat Boy. For those of you who don't know, it's a very hard platformer, basically. It's a platformer game where you have to run around, and it's got a very strict set of rules that are applied all the way across the whole game. It does not waver from those rules at all. The things you learn in the first few, first few levels, I guess, they're kind of easy, but it's because he's just giving you one new thing to learn after another. Those first few different levels, you learn them, and then all of a sudden you're able to make it through these much harder levels as it goes. It's just absolutely tough as nails. One of the hardest games that you can play, but I mean, it's doable. Some people you can watch online and stuff can make it through Super Meat Boy, no problem, but it's gonna be tough. And if you're looking for a really fun game, but a really punishing game with awesome graphics, awesome visuals, a great art style, great music, Super Meat Boy, you can't beat that. That's just so much fun. And I mean, it's been out for a long time. It was on PC, it was on Xbox 360, it's on everything, and now it's on the Nintendo Switch, so you can take it wherever you want to go, which is really cool. And it's one of those great indie games. Nintendo has been really pulling in a whole lot of good independent games on the Nintendo Switch. It's like a really great... It's like the console of the independents. It's so cool. So, keeping with the Super Meat Boy theme, the guy who made Super Meat Boy, one of them, there's two guys. Tommy is the one guy, and then the other guy's Edmund. Edmund, you learn a lot about these guys if you watch this movie that's on Netflix. I think it's other places too, but that's where I saw it, was on Netflix. It's called Indie Game the Movie. Goes through and talks all about how it is to be an indie game developer, how hard it is and all the struggles and stuff. And they follow along as they're developing Super Meat Boy. I think they also talked to Jonathan Blow, the guy that did Braid. He also did The Witness now since then, but in the movie he's still working on Braid. And I think they also talked to Phil Fish, everybody's favorite, that made the game Fez. That's a pretty cool game. Phil is a little off his rocker in that movie, and everybody, just watch it. It's a good movie. If you're looking for a movie to watch and you haven't watched Indie Game the Movie and you're into games and how they're developed, that's a really good one. But anyway, this is more of a games topic here. So yeah, Edmund, the guy that, one of the two that made Super Meat Boy, he's also made a lot of other games, including The Binding of Isaac. So what we get here on the Switch is The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth. It's like The Binding of Isaac Plus Afterbirth or something like that. The reason why it's called that is that Binding of Isaac came out a long time ago on PC, and then it was ported over to many other game consoles. You can get a physical copy of it for Switch, which is really nice, but it comes with all the added... It's not really DLCs. He would just do expansions from time to time and update the thing, and you would buy the latest update to get all the stuff. This game's ridiculously hard, and it's super long, and it's different every single time because it is one of those roguelites, whatever, rogue, means it's procedurally generated. The levels are never the same twice. The computer actually builds the levels before you jump in, although if you do well on a level, or if you just want to replay that same scenario again, when you get to the end, you will see, they call it a seed. It's a bunch of digits. You write those down, you can enter those in, and then that basically tells the computer what configuration to put it into. So you can do the same level again if you want to, but if you just hit start and you just go, brand new level, brand new stuff. This game's all about picking up items to make yourself stronger and do a little bit more damage. Maybe have sort of a status effect where your bullets now poison the enemies when it hits them, so they're constantly draining energy as you're shooting at them. Again, the art style's crazy. It's a really fun game. It's probably a little bit offensive. Heck, let's just go ahead and say it's probably a lot offensive to certain people. It deals with religion a little bit. It deals with religion a lot. And it also deals with just all kinds of nasty stuff. There's lots of poop in the game. Actual poop. You can get coins and items out of piles of poop if you just shoot the poop. And there are enemies who are made of poop. There are enemies that are made of blood and guts. There's all sorts of disgusting things, but it's definitely all in keeping with the style of the game, the art of the game. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it, but I love it. I think it's a lot of fun, and I'm actually starting to get better at it. You have to die a bunch of times until you get used to what's going on, and then you get lucky. You get lucky, but you also have to learn what's going on. It's not just luck. I mean, it's luck based on what you're going to pull out of each little pile of poop or treasure chest or something like that, but you have to know what they are, because each icon is just a little thing that pops up on the screen. You have to know what it does, because some of these items can enhance your guy, and some of the items can take things away. Or maybe they'll give you a power that you don't like using. There's a few different types of attacks that you can pick up, and some of them I don't like using, and I have to remember when I see a certain item not to pick it up because I don't want that one. So that's the fun of Binding of Isaac. Look it up online, watch some Let's Plays or something, and if you do want to play it, I suggest going online and looking up kind of a Wikipedia. It shows you everything. It teaches you what each item is. There's hundreds and hundreds of items in this game that you can pick up, so you're never going to memorize them all, at least not right off the bat. You may memorize them if you play enough, but it's one of those kind of games. All kinds of mixed up stuff, different things over and over again, and you can just sit and play it for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, or you can play it all night and just keep doing run after run after run. It's a wild ride. Really fun. So I've been playing a ton of that. Another game that's an independent game that came out on Switch this week that I've been playing is The Darkest Dungeon.
Of the Darkest Dungeon.
Oh yes, it's the darkest of dungeons. The narrator is crazy. He sits there and says all kinds of things. I can't even imitate him because he's just way too serious. I just don't have the words. You're just gonna have to check it out. I mean, it's so fun because it's a dungeon crawler, and I believe that some of these dungeons are also procedurally generated, but you start off in this town, recruit heroes, put them into a team of 4, and then you attack certain dungeons, and each dungeon has a different thing. Like, you have to either fight all the enemies in the dungeon or clear out most of the rooms, like 75% or something. Either way, as you go through the dungeon, your torch runs out of light. The darker it gets in the darkest dungeon, the harder it is for you. Your heroes start to freak out. And there's actually a little thing that pops up over their head that shows when they're starting to lose control and lose sanity and things like that. As they get a little bit more scared and a little bit more crazy, they will now get hurt easier or not be able to do as much damage or something.
A trifling victory, but a victory nonetheless.
The whole game is based on sort of an RPG where you level up. There's rows that you have to be standing in the right spot to hit the right enemy. It's usually a row of 4 heroes, a row of 4 bad guys, you have to check your actual attacks and make sure that they're going to hit in the row that you're shooting for and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's very deep. There's tons and tons to learn in this game, too, similar to Binding of Isaac. Completely different games, but just as deep. Tons and tons of stuff to learn. Really, really cool game. Something else that I've already played before on PC, and I've already played it on consoles as well, but now that it came to Switch, I wanted to grab it. They do have the standard edition. They also have the edition that has everything built into it. It's a little bit of a discount, and it comes with all the DLC. So if you've never played it before, you may want just the base game, or if you think you're going to like it, you know, grab the thing with all the extra DLC. The only really bad thing about this game that I have to mention is that the font. This game was built for PCs, and then it was ported over to consoles to play on full-size screens, not the little Switch screen. And when you're playing in docked mode, and it's on the TV, it's fine. You can read everything just fine. But when it's in handheld, I have a hard time, even with my glasses on, I have a tough time reading all of the text because it's really small. That's the one big gripe that I have. I wish they could increase the size of the text so that you could actually read it. And then also, their text is sort of stylized, you know, Darkest Dungeon style text. So the R, it sort of swoops up and makes like an R. But sometimes the thing that says R means that you hit the R bumper. Sometimes it means that you have to click the R stick in. But the icon kind of looks the same. So a lot of times when I'm trying to do something in that game and actually click on something, I find myself kind of guessing at buttons for a minute. And I have played it for a while, and I'm still kind of guessing at buttons. So that's a bad thing too. But overall, it doesn't ruin the whole experience. It's still a really fun game. Good times. Check out Darkest Dungeon if you have a Switch and you're looking for something a little bit more dark to play when you're on the go, right? So that brings me back, all the way back around to some old school PS1 racing games. Yes, that's right. So naturally, as you can see on the screen back here, everybody was asking me about this one, and I do have this one. And this is a very, very good game. R4, Ridge Racer Type 4.
Real Racing Roots 99 in Shooting Hoops.
There were so many Ridge Racers that came out, but this one I think is probably the best Ridge Racer. Plus, if you get the physical, you know, actually get the physical game, you don't just download it on PS3 or whatever, it comes with this. This is one of those game boxes that has 2 discs in it, right? So the one disc is R4, but the other disc, to take a look at that real quick here, you pop it out for you can see. It's the first Ridge Racer. Yeah, and it's not just the first Ridge Racer. They have a mode in there called Turbo Mode. It's going turbo! Turbo Mode. It's a 60 frames per second. Little bit different, cleaner graphics than the PS1 standard version, but you get both of those on here too, just as a bonus. Pretty cool. And since we're talking about Ridge Racer, I gotta tell you about a really cool story. When I was working at Cedar Point, big amusement park in Ohio, in Sandusky. If you love roller coasters, you can't miss it. It's got the best thing ever. I mean, but we're not doing a Cedar Point commercial here. But anyway, I worked there for 3 summers when I was in college, and it was right around the time that the original PS1 was coming out. So the PS1 hadn't been launched yet. They were still in development, but because most of us working there were, you know, 19, 20 years old, maybe 21, about that age, and we're all college students, Sony knew that that was going to be their big demographic. And so one night, they have these little parties. After the park closes and everybody leaves, they open up a section of the park for the employees to come in, and it's like a employee appreciation night. They have it, you know, every couple of weeks. You have a little party thing. So I show up at this party, and there's a TV on one of those rollers. You know, like when you're in school, the ones that say warning, it'll tip over on your head. Those rolly carts with a TV on it. So there's this TV over there, and I look over, and they're playing Ridge Racer, and I'm like, how in the heck are they playing Ridge Racer out here on a TV? Because my job at Cedar Point was to work at these games, the ones where you pay $1 to try to win a prize, but I also worked in the arcades. And so I had been working on and taking coins out of Ridge Racer machines and stuff, so I knew about Ridge Racer in the arcade. I didn't know you could play it out of the arcade. I was just amazed. I was actually playing a PS1 before it launched and before it was ever on sale. It was this super cool. It was like the most awesome thing in the world. I can never forget that. Sitting there playing Ridge Racer with my jaw just on the floor because I couldn't believe that they had this TV out here with this little gray thing with a controller that I'd never seen before, and they're playing Ridge Racer. Like, my God, it was amazing. All right, so after I started playing Ridge Racer again a little bit this week, I had to just go back and look and see whatever, what were all the racing games that I actually have in my collection. And naturally, like any good PlayStation 1 racing fan, I got this one, Gran Turismo, right? Everybody loves Gran Turismo. This is the granddaddy of them, right? But I'm looking close and I realize, where the heck is Gran Turismo 2? Now, back when I got a PS2, this was before I had any kind of inkling that I was going to collect anything, and I just didn't, I just didn't value keeping all my games all the time, I guess. So I traded in a bunch of stuff when I got my PS2, and that was why I did not have Gran Turismo 2. But luckily, $5, baby, $5 down at the Exchange. It's a local used game store here in Canton, Ohio. Gran Turismo 2 is back in my possession, and I've been playing that, and wow. Tell you what, the graphics on these old games are not that bad. I mean, yeah, they're not as good as what we are used to today, but my God, this was 20 years ago, right? But they're holding up. Most of them are holding up. The way I kind of describe it, whether or not a game holds up or stands the test of time or whatever, if you put the game in and you start playing it, and after about 10 or 15 minutes, you don't want to play it anymore, you're kind of done with it, it probably hasn't stood the test of time. That's what I'm saying. Ridge Racer 4, I threw that in, and I actually sat here for over an hour going through the entire story from front to back, right in a row. I couldn't turn it off, and I can't wait to go back and play it again. That game's great. It has definitely stood the test of time. So yeah, started playing Gran Turismo, started playing Gran Turismo 2. Heck, I even went and pulled out the PS2 games I've got. Gran Turismo 3, that's a great one. And of course, Gran Turismo 4. These things are amazing, these games. They just, you could play them for hours and hours and hours on end, and they are just so much fun. Great music, and I don't know, they have a little bit of a different kind of a magic to them, I guess. Something that's unusual, something that's not like what we have today. There's no microtransactions, there's none of that crap. But I did want to mention this. Let me see if I can find it here on the back. They didn't have microtransactions. Everybody thinks that microtransactions is a new thing. Well, let me tell you. Here on the back of the Gran Turismo booklet, now they did have booklets back then, which was nice. Get your PlayStation hat. There you go. Get your PlayStation hat. And get your shirt. Call the 1888 number. Do you remember back when we used to have these games, and in order to try to figure out how to beat them, you had to call like a 1-900 number and spend like $5 asking a question to get some tips because there wasn't game facts or anything like that online yet? That's a microtransaction. That's a microtransaction. So, one other thing I got to show you here. Hold on a second. Yeah, I might have shown this before, but the one day I was out at the flea market, I actually found this thing. Look at this. It's a Gran Turismo 2 car, but it's a t-shirt. It's a t-shirt packaged to look like a Gran Turismo 2 car. It says back here it's an extra large. Well, I'm not going to risk that. I probably can't wear that. If I can, it'll be a little tight, but I'm going to leave it in car form because this is way cooler. This promo t-shirt for Gran Turismo 2. One of these days I'm going to have a bigger room for all my games, and there's going to be a whole Gran Turismo shelf, and that's going to be definitely sitting on there. Really cool stuff. So that's what I got for you this week. Some more racing games, some independent games on the Switch. We'll see what happens next week. Hopefully there'll be some more good stuff. If you want to, I have a video that I made a long time ago. A lot of you may be new subscribers, so you don't really go all the way back. I got a couple hundred videos on here, but I'm going to link right here. Boop. Right here? Yeah, right there. I'm going to link a video that I did when I actually went to Cedar Point. Did a video, I recorded stuff all over the park, showing you all these different arcade games that are there and how they go back in time from the newest stuff all the way back to the oldest stuff. We actually, in that video, look at a game from 1912. 1912 they were games. Wasn't exactly a video game, but you'll see what I'm talking about. That's a fun game to watch. Game? No, it's a fun video to watch. So check that out if you want to see something else to show you a little bit about Cedar Point and some old games. But hey, man, thanks for checking out this video and hanging out with me this week on what I've been playing. Try to see you next week. See if we got some more good stuff to talk about. In the meantime, go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you've been playing this week. Love to hear from you. So anyway, till next time, remember, you never outgrow video games. My name's Chad the Gaming Dad, and here it is, once again, episode 2 of what I've been playing. We'll see you next week for episode 3. Take it easy, everybody, and so long. Congratulations! You have made it to the end of the video. And now, for the obligatory end of video on YouTube crap. Honestly, everybody, thanks for watching. I hope you did like it. If you did, please share it with your friends, like, subscribe, and comment, because you know that's the only way that we can appease the robots that rule us on YouTube with all of the algorithms. There are links in the description as well if you would like to help the channel further. But really, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.